Olá pessoal, tudo bem? Tudo jóia? Ok, eu estou aqui hoje. No, I'm not going to do it in Portuguese. I'm here today to do the album review of Cavalera Conspiracy Psychosis, their brand new album just released yesterday. So this album hit, and it hit like a nail bomb. No pun intended. It hit like a nail bomb. This album is absolutely phenomenal. I'm not going to go song by song. I'm going to give you guys an overview of the album, and then I'm going to give you guys a more little in-depth look at 4 of my favorite songs on this album. Okay? So to start off, this album is an absolute doozy. I'm going to go and say that this is right now my top 5 albums of the year. By far, easily in the top 5 albums of the year. I mean, this album is so good. The album, first of all, the structure of the album is perfect. It has 9 songs, one of them instrumental. It's about 41 minutes, 42 minutes in duration, which is to me perfect. I like my albums between 35 and 45 minutes, so being 41, 42 minutes is absolutely perfect. 9 songs is also perfect. I like the albums to have anywhere between 8 to 11 songs at the most. I find that when it goes a little bit beyond that, it gets a little bit stale. The quality of the songs is just not there anymore. So I really like my albums to be within those parameters. So this album falls specifically within the parameters that I like. 9 songs, 41 minutes. Then the album itself, it's just so well done. I mean, so well done. For those of you that grew up listening to early Sepultura with Max and Igor, this album is for you. Okay, for any of you out there that love that Sepultura, that anything before Roots, Chaos AD, Beneath the Remains Arise, Schizophrenia, anything of that nature, this album is for you. Like, this is really a throwback album as far as I'm concerned. The album has a lot of those early Sepultura albums, and I hate to compare, and I'm not going to say this album is better than that album or that album is better than this album. I'm not going to go there. This album stands on its own. And like I said, top 5 material for the year by far. This album to me has a little bit of everything. Has a little bit of 3 albums and everything from those 3 albums. This album has a little bit of Arise, has a little bit of Beneath the Remains, and has a little bit of Chaos AD. If you push me against the wall and you really force me to tell you what parts of which, I will say musically, song-wise, in terms of the structures of the song, in terms of the tempos of the song, the drumming, guitars, this album reminds me a lot, like half of the album reminds me of Arise, half of the album reminds me of Beneath the Remains. Vocally, the album reminds me a lot of Chaos AD. So there's a little bit of those 3 albums in there, like I find. Musically, from those 2 ones, vocally, more from Chaos AD. Which to me, those 3, I mean, you can add Roots in there, but those 3 are probably the essence of what Sepultura was. So when you take almost the best pieces out of those 3 and you create Psychosis, you're really creating a masterpiece, because you're taking the better parts of 3 albums that were amazing on their own, and now you're creating a brand new album that's just incredible. Now, the album itself, it starts with Insane, which was a lyric video that we did a reaction video yesterday, and you can check it out right there. Somewhere there, in the corner there. Whatever, in the corner, somewhere. I don't know which corner. In the corner there. You can check out our reaction video to Insane. So the album starts off with Insane, and Insane is a kick-ass song. It kind of reminds me of Arise in a lot of ways, the way that album started with the song Arise. It just gives you a like punch to the gut. It's just like the guttural guitars, the vocals. It just really, it sets the tone for what's going to be an incredible roller coaster of an album with great song after great song after great song after great song. So Insane to me kind of falls into that Arise era. I really find to me that song has a lot of the same components that we saw in the first song from Arise, and even in the whole album itself. Then, which is, by the way, that song is one of my favorite songs of the album. I would say it's one of my 4 favorite songs of the album. The second song that I really liked in this album was Spectral War. They now have released a brand new video for that song. The video was released yesterday, and this song is, to me, probably the best song in the whole album. And this song, Spectral War, has a lot of dead embryonic cells in it. So for those of you that are familiar with Arise, the album, this song, it's like the child that grew up and became an adult. So if you think of dead embryonic cells as a song, as a child, now that child has grown up and become an adult, and the adult is Spectral War. The double bass drumming in this song is almost identical to dead embryonic cells. There's a lot of similarities between those two songs. The first half of the album I found was very Arise driven. The second part of the album was more into the worlds of Beneath the Remains, but not with the production values that those two albums have. This album is much better. Sound mixing in this album is a lot better than what those two albums were. But in terms of the guitar style, the drumming, all of the technical aspects of the song building, a lot of it has Arise and Beneath the Remains. But this song is, to me, Dead Embryonic Cells 2.0. There's no doubt about it. For any fan of Sepultura, for any fan of that album that knows Dead Embryonic Cells, when you listen to this song, you're going to hear in the background, and the first thing is going to come to your mind is going to be, wow, this is like Dead Embryonic Cells 2.0. Best song of the album, in my opinion. I absolutely love this song. Which is not an easy song for a drummer. I mean, you have to have a guy of the quality of Igor to really pull off the drumming in this song. It's not for your everyday drummer. That's 100%. The double bass drumming in this song is absolutely insane. I love it. It's such a throwback. I really like it. Now, the third song that I really like in this album is Judas Pariah. When I was listening to that song, it just took me back to the early 90s. It took me back to Beneath the Remains. I really felt that a lot of that song had a lot of the same vibes that you get in Inner Self, Slaves of Pain. I really felt that song had a lot of those same characteristics. Even earlier stuff like Troops of Doom, it had a little bit of that. It had a little bit of that rawness to it, which, I mean, to me, every album, you can put a lot of production into it, but you still have to keep some of that rawness, that raw feeling that comes from you when you're jamming and you're coming up with the riffs and you're starting it up. And this song, to me, speaks to that rawness that Sepultura had at that time when they did Troops of Doom, when they did Slaves of Pain. It had that rawness to it, and I really digged it. To me, this song was, like I said, it's in my top 4 of the album. I really like that song. It was really different. The riffs in it were very different. The melodies were very different, and I really liked it. It really, to me, it spoke to that time, and it really brought a smile to my face when I was listening to it. I really like that song. Now, the fourth song that I really digged in this album was Psychosis. Psychosis is just instrumental. There's no vocals. And I really like that song because the melody of that song was absolutely beautiful. I heard an interview yesterday with Max where he said that he didn't want to ruin the song by adding vocals to it. And I could totally understand where he's coming from. The melodies in this song, in this instrumental track, are absolutely insane. This is like they're not... The Igor and Max are not strangers to creating just instrumental tracks on their albums. They've done it before. But this one, I think they took it to a whole new level. The drumming in that song is very unique. I believe that Igor went to Africa and he bought some of those African traditional drumming styles to it, and he brought it into that song. And then with the riffs that Max brought into that song, created a very melodic song, very, very beautiful melodies in that song that, like he said, he just didn't want to ruin that with vocals. So that all put together creates one incredible instrumental track that really sets the album perfectly. It's right towards the end of the album, is the second last song of the album, title track, and it just wraps it all up in a nice little bow. So with that said, this is it. I mean, this album is absolutely insane. Top 5 in my opinion. I told you my 4 favorite tracks: Insane, Spectral War, Judas Pariah, Psychosis. Now, what I want to hear is I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. What did you guys think of this album? Does this album feel to you the same way it felt to me as a Beneath the Remains, Arise, Chaos AD mixture of the 3, and now you get this powerhouse that is Psychosis? Do you agree with me? Let me know in the comment section. I really want to hear your feedback, and I really want to hear what you guys have to say and think about this new album from Cavalera Conspiracy. I cannot wait for them to go on tour with this album because I will be going to the show. I absolutely loved it. It just made me feel like 1991, 92, it never went away, and I was back listening to original Sepultura. I know it's just Max and Igor. I know it's not all the four guys, but this album, it's the closest. To me, this is the closest we've been to real Sepultura since Roots. So you have it. This is my opinion. I really feel that strongly about it. I don't feel that there's an album out there that comes as close to real Sepultura since Roots as this album does. This to me is Sepultura. All right, guys, take care. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and stay tuned. Come back tomorrow to watch our next reaction review video. Take care, guys.